Hello and welcome, brave souls. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are here today with Star Trek Adventures Aegis, The Shores of Ogygia, Part 3. We are just getting set here. For those of you joining us here in the archives, you still have just enough time to place in some questions if you are also following our Broken Sword campaign or have other general Star Trek questions you want to place in for this coming Tuesday, which this should be up the day before the Season 2 mid-season Q&A for the Broken Sword campaign goes up at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time in the evening on this coming Tuesday. So we hope you join us. It'll be a fun opportunity to talk about where we've been and where we're going for the next season, or rather for the rest of the current season. Aegis will have its own coming up later here in the as we get through these next couple episodes, and I can tell you we've already got a couple exciting things in the tubes for later on, but we'll touch on those announcements later. I guess, unless anybody has any burning questions right now, let's go ahead and get into the recap here. Hey, Panda, was there anything you wanted to bring up before I barrel on ahead?
Oh, me? No.
Sorry.
No. That's after. That's after the stream.
Yeah. Sorry. Thought I heard things. Okay.
Nope.
So let's go ahead and get things set up. The Aegis has been in a very difficult condition. It had suffered the travails of an ion storm whilst leaving the Arachnid Nebula, and after being severely damaged and tossed off course, had arrived in the Beta Veldonna, or rather the Beta Zeta system, also known as the Veldonna system by its native inhabitants, the Veldonnans. After an initial encounter seemed that it would be a little dicey, they seemed ready to use force to restrain you. They decided to invite you to their planet, allow the Aegis to undergo repairs, and even permit leave for your crew. The mysterious Veldonnans, who appear to be humanoid, though with slightly different features when it comes to their eyes particularly. Very sort of a slightly wider, very dark complexion to it. But they have they've been, by and large, courteous hosts up to this point. In particular, there have been moments to interact with Mr. Horn, the ship's resident diplomat, and the equivalent diplomatic officer on their side, a character by the name of Proxima Callus. The Veldonnans have also been very helpful insofar as they treated the captain for pretty severe head trauma that had rendered her comatose. And all the while, the Aegis has been in orbit receiving repairs. After a good, productive first day, and an opportunity for some of you to relax, others to engage a bit with the Veldonnans, you had come down to join them in their capital city of Sindriel, where a banquet was being held, allowing you to interact. Throughout the whole process, you've begun to pick up some things, most particularly in Mr. Horn's case, suspicion that the Veldonnans appear to be telepathic and or empathic in some fashion. And it seems as though there has been some test in the works for when it came to the banquet that you enjoyed later. There were some rather pointed questions at different points, and it was actually not too long into dinner, we'll say, by a first course that you've received the announcement that the Veldonnans have decided your stay on this planet shall remain indefinite. That the Aegis will not be leaving the planet, and neither will any of you. So, let's pull in on the scene where the dinner has been interrupted. You were all partway through the main course at this point, carrying on with some conversation, some of it less comfortable than other points. But obviously, this recent announcement of the Veldonnans has may have put a damper on some people's appetite. Some of that may have to do with the fact that the Hemestra, the near equivalent to captain or some other flag rank for naval command, has arrived with security guards, or what you would guess to be guards. They are certainly all armed with small hand weaponry. None have brought them out of their holsters, though. Their hands are strictly to their back on this. They... Between their presence and the announcement, I'd say that there's a little bit of disquiet. For reference on the NPCs, Remora has kind of started looking around, and then is particularly glancing to you now, Captain. Creighton seems a bit befuddled, like wondering whether this is serious. Same with Lambeth and Lieutenant Melnyuk. How's everybody else taking this? Also, a vibe check.
I'm gonna go last.
I've Alaska just kind of sets her knife and fork down. Well, looks across the table at the Veldonnans. Well, then if you're going to do that, I'm going to begin my hunger strike right now. And I'm going to take my plate and put it in front of one of the Veldonnans. You eat that shit. I'll sit back down. And all your empathic people can experience me starving. You know, I'm really kind of a crazy lady. You might want to check with the people I work with.
So
I won't say no.
How's her empathy right now?
Yeah, how's Romanov feeling?
Yeah.
Oh, she's pissed off. She thought that this was like that we were finally meeting a civilization that was trying to say, you know, be a little bit more enlightened. You know,
actually one of the good ones for once.
Yes, because we struggle so often. We occasionally meet some really cool aliens, but it's a tough time in the neighborhood. The kids aren't playing well together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her vibe check.
Fair. Okay. Anyone else kind of going down the line in terms of surface level emotions, I guess? Let's see here. Greg, how's Shira doing?
She's feeling angry and betrayed.
Sensible. Let's see, as the more difficult ones in this bunch. Horn, would you want to do a check first off to see how well you are keeping things under control? Or, I mean, this as a very surface level emotion, this might be light enough that you would just be able to let it stand out a bit on its own.
I would absolutely like to roll.
Okay, give me a...
Even though I already know what I'm projecting.
No.
What was it again?
This would be a control plus command roll. I'm going to say the difficulty to maintain the sort of... at the level of control that you are dealing with here, let's call this a difficulty 2 roll.
Fair. Let's just... Oh, fantastic.
3
Excellent.
successes, which does mean that you earn a point of momentum. And it does.
That was my goal all along.
Yes.
Mm,
So let's see.
well,
need
vibe
to
check, you say.
I do need to revise the counts just a little bit. Sorry to cut in there.
Vibe check, you say. Certainly surprised, but also, like in control is, I guess, the base. It's like this scene in Loki. Like, yes, very tragic. Anyways, can you trust me these mushrooms, please? They look delicious. It's like he's aware that this is politics. Like the way this works, this is politics. This is not like.
I'll take a scoop of a big scoop of the potatoes and put them right on your plate for you. There you go.
Fantastic. Like he's very aware that this is politics at this stage, at least. So not too concerned for the situation right now.
Yep. Captain, such that they would pick something up. How are you feeling?
I would say that she is. It's a weird statement I gotta make, but she's shocked but not surprised.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
Well, no, it's something else entirely. Like she expected this a little bit, like a fair bit, and just like thought perhaps to some extent like there's that sort of thing of like it's surprised in that it happened, but in the long run it's something she predicted that was likely going to be a case.
I see.
I got a question. As Navark Himestra's making this announcement, what's her expression? Does she seem to be happy she's making this, or is she clearly, I really don't want to be given these orders right now? What's her expression?
Her expression seems to be the austere, professional. The face that you put on for circumstances of like anything where you are being given the command to do something, whether or not you want to.
But how is her how's her body with this disposition otherwise?
She's pulled firmly into firmly to attention at. There's nothing about her body language that suggests anything beyond, I am here to relay these orders. I am relaying these orders.
So so it's definitely she prepped herself for this.
Quick question: is this like the vibe check? Is this a social conflict?
I think not quite.
I'm asking for talent, so it's fine if you say no. I just like.
Yeah, certainly. If you want to pull any sort of insight yourself, then I think that gets into social conflict territory. Similarly, for those of you making any with any questions to them, then it would certainly apply.
Xantar, you better not show up in a freaking bathrobe or something.
No, I'm quite alright.
He was next to us like for the entire time. Where would he get a bathrobe?
Captain,
I don't know, but I'm already concerned.
Oh, Captain, I found a spa just in.
I found a bait in spa.
Yeah. Quick question. Yeah, Xantar, we've picked up just after the announcement that you guys are here to stay for good, from the Veldonnans.
I mean, oh bad.
Vibe check. How you doing?
Probably confused and a little anxious. But also, like, glad that this place seems mostly sanitized, as he quickly sanitizes his hands.
The worms are fighting for their freedom.
Shh. We don't talk about the worms.
Yes. Very good, very good.
But yeah, I mean, I would like to do a vibe check back to Hemestra. Like the normal one, not the mental one.
So an insight check on the Veldonnans that are with you now.
Yes. I mean, mostly on Hemestra, like primary Hemestra, secondary Callus, because these are the ones that I know the best and have like a chance to like read them in any way.
Completely fair. So I will say that this is an insight and command roll. I think that for in Hemestra's case, this will be contested. Callus, I think I will give you that she like takes this and it only makes sense for one of them to roll, I suppose. So I will give you that if you can beat a difficulty 1, that you will get enough information from Callus in this particular case.
Can I assist? I don't want to do a separate roll. Just to assist.
I think I'm going to rule no in this case, just because it's you guys don't have the luxury of communicating telepathically in the same way, nor conferring. So
we're doing the Star Wars thing. We're communicating by beer stroking.
Head nods.
So, in Hemestra's case, you have to beat 4 successes.
Whoa.
Does any of my focuses apply? Diplomacy, mental discipline, deception?
Yes. I think diplomacy at the very least would,
Fantastic. I would like to buy a 3rd die.
Would you be doing that with momentum, or with...
Yeah, momentum.
We got loads of momentum.
I don't think we're that desperate yet. Yet.
Fair enough here.
Oh, 4. I have to beat 4. Okay, let's do this.
Jesus Christ.
I think the mushrooms were bad.
There was something in the potatoes.
A 17 and 2 20s. Wow!
I'll tell you, that's a really bad time for the people on Twitch to go on ad break. Jeez.
No, it's the best time. It was planned.
Yep. It's like the ad starts, they come back, everything's on fire, everyone's dead.
Yes.
What?
Oh god, I have absolute. I mean,
you've got to take at least one of those, I think.
I mean, I'm happy to take like the narrative, but what would even happen?
Okay.
Marcus just strokes out.
The narrative is you get shot.
So
I think the narrative is you get shot, then fall over backwards over the balcony and down the store.
For being a smug bastard.
So, Marcus, before we just completely rob you of any riz here, I need to ask as properly. You have rolled not 1 but 2 complications. The options to deal with this would be, first, to accept them, either one or both, to ignore one or both, and give the GM threat in place of that. That would be 2 threat per complication ignored. Alternatively, you can buy them off with the momentum that you have. It is, once again, at the same cost, 2 momentum per complication. Since we have reset, and I am a generous GM, you do always have the option of a reroll by way of your determination. You can invoke one of your values to expend a point of... to expend that point of determination and re-roll the entire pool. That's what it does. I will say if it affects the... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm willing, if any talent applies here for, like, social conflict, this would be a place to use it. If any allow.
Nah, I only have 1 that helps me if I win a social conflict, and I don't think I've won that one.
No.
I might just try a reroll. Use the determination to use a reroll.
Okay.
Can hardly get much worse.
Stop.
The 3 complications.
Stop. No.
It
Don't
can
say
always
that.
get worse.
I kind of want 3 complications now.
Well,
What's a good value? Yeah.
it's worth noting that 0 that did not complicate was a 17 on the die. So you were close.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the high numbers out right from the start. Yeah, no, I'm using a determination for a full reroll.
Okay, which value would you be invoking for?
What's fitting here? We all become what we pretend to be. Would that work?
I would accept that.
Here's an image to maintain.
Yes.
Oh god, we're all going to die?
He doesn't want everyone to realize that he's secretly Dennis the Donut Boy.
I don't even know who that is, but it sounds terrible.
It's a Red Dwarf reference.
Oh god. Okay, Button, what will you give me now?
Okay, that's nice.
It's better.
Okay.
It's not quite enough, but it's a vast improvement.
I mean, 2 7s and an 18.
It's no summary execution bad.
Yeah.
Indeed. So
what a start.
at 2 points of 2 successes, you do not succeed in your insight check against Hemestra with her 4 successes. This first does mean that I will draw 2 points of threat to reflect her success. Secondly, what I can tell you is that Hemestra is maintaining her composure quite well here. She is most inscrutable. Actually, apparently the threat count was behind, so I should be at 7 there. Hemestra is an inscrutable professional. You, at the very least, might get the sense that she is well practiced for these circumstances. Though, if there's anything behind what she's feeling right now, you can't discern one way or the other whether she is favorable to the announcement or if she does so with a heavy heart. In Callus's case, at the very least, I will say that you succeeded enough to take note that she kind of deflated a little bit and has set aside her own dinner plate in favor of what appears to be a deep purple, what appears to be some sort of pudding, and is in the process of placing a couple scoops in a smaller dessert dish here.
I would like to check with you if I can abuse the wording of the talent a bit. Again, saying no is completely acceptable. So since I technically succeeded against Callus, I would like to use cold reading for an additional success. For basically, I get 1 free momentum that I have to use and obtain information against 1 person on the opposite side of the test. And since Hemestra was also part of the test, can I use it on her?
I can meet you part way on this. I think that in Hemestra's case, a direct question about her would not be appropriate only because she is like so very well buttoned up here. If the gap were a little closer, then I might be favorable to it. But you technically did not succeed there. You may discern something insofar as like there is a relationship between Hemestra and Callus as working professionals.
Can I instead of Hemestra gonna read on like the soldiers maybe? Like what the general feeling there is? Like we are just here to do our duty, or this is bullshit, or like...
I think that would be a good idea.
Or like, what the general feeling there is? Like we are just here to do our duty, or this is bullshit, or like... Or like, what the general feeling there is? Like we are just here to do our duty, or this is bullshit, or like... Or like, what the general feeling there is? Like we are just here to do our duty, or this is bullshit, or like... the general atmosphere that's coming with the obvious politics that are going on.
I would be prepared to allow an answer on this question here. For the security officers here, they see, they definitely aren't coming into this with any semblance of, there's no gloating going on here, or no, they're not really scanning the room in the sense of, like, looking at threats. It seems as though, they are just they are here out of obligation. It occurs to you, Marcus, that given what Callus has told you about their empathic capabilities, if they felt that they were under threat, then they might well have been more prepared to respond to this. Like, if anybody had hostile intentions, and certainly the people here that you would suspect could go hostile or would fly off the handle would not be so emotionally controlled as you are. So they, correspondingly, they aren't in that much of a defensive posture. If anything, they might take the common feeling of shock, surprise, and betrayal that probably extends among the group, and there may be some tinge of sadness that you would kind of expect them to feel. But they are restraining it as best they can.
A Vulcan of them.
The captain just gives a momentary thought and gives a polite smile and nod. Thank you, Proxima. I am sure such news is not something anybody wants to convey to their guests. I hope that I have some time to break the news to the rest of my crew.
Of course, they are being they're being informed of this as we speak, and we are preparing escorts to allow them back down to the planet.
For the sake of a continued friendship here, it gives you like a momentary pause, half-second pause to give a disproving glance to Shira, and then looks back over with a smile. I hope you can understand, given securities that both you and my powers have, that I do need access to my ship to further decommission any knowledge or projects that would be unsuited.
We will see if we can arrange remote access. Hemestra's actually going to cut in here. We'll see if we can coordinate remote access, and perhaps with cooperation of crew that remain on board, we can make arrangements to further disengage systems. As we had our technical crews on board had already noted, engines and other primary systems were already taken offline for the necessary repairs, so those should be secure. We will work with the crew that are on board in order to catalog that, and you will see reports that come off. Of course, Captain, do understand that we will revoke these privileges if anyone attempts to take advantage of our protocols and attempt an escape.
Of course. Can I ask you something personal, Proxima?
Callus looks up with a spoonful of the pudding in front of her.
Proxima is the captain, right? Which
no,
one is...
Hemestra is...
Hemestra, sorry.
Yeah. Navark would be the captain rank here.
Okay. Navark. She would say Navark, not Proxima. I'm sorry.
Yep.
She was trying to aim at the captain. Navark, if you don't mind me asking a personal question.
You may ask.
She puts her... she's still not putting her elbows on the table. That's discord, inappropriate. But she will fold her hands and into steeple her fingers together in front of her. Was the vote unanimous, or was one house pushing hard?
Mestra opens her mouth for a moment, but then closes it. I don't speak for the. I don't speak in terms of the policy of the Council of Ministers, nor for the Space Guard. I simply enforce it.
I understand. I simply wish to know who I'm going to be speaking to for the next few years of trying to appease and change the vote.
She exchanges glances with Callus, who looks over her shoulder. You have everyone you need here. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to tend to.
Sure, other people to enslave.
Enough, Romanov.
Sorry. You know.
I will say that one of the guards will remain present, but most of the rest will otherwise depart. And they will, the one guard that is still present will provide you a wide berth so that you may enjoy your meal, such as you can in the context of what's just happened.
I apologize, Callus, but do you mind if I call you Callus?
No, go right ahead. We may as well get used to a first-name basis.
Do you have any tobacco or tobacco-like material here in Veldonna?
What's tobacco?
That's my answer. She says, there's a sigh.
It's
Captain pulls out a shotgun.
worse yet. It's like that one Simpsons Halloween special where Homer arrives in a timeline that is
with no donuts. Yeah.
Yep.
What's donuts? No.
Oh no, it's raining.
Yeah.
You maniacs.
She'll just kind of give like a not dismissive, but just a wary look at Horn of like, well, this is the hell we end up in, and just sort of take a light pour of her drink.
I don't think I did that badly, Captain.
No, you did fine.
Also, I think this is probably the nicest prison I've been in.
Certainly up there, she says, kind of eyeing the surroundings.
Oh yeah, that's much worse.
This is the prison now. We don't know how it'll change over time, especially if they want to make the issue disappear.
She'll look over to Lambeth and say, how secure did you leave it before coming here?
I definitely logged off my console, and everything should be secure there, and nobody'd guess at my password. Callus just kind of looks over. Damn it.
Password 2.
She just shakes her head.
I'm going to give you a little bit of privacy, she says, taking a flute and filling it up with a sparkling Utaberry wine. I have to say I've lost my appetite a little bit, but if you need a moment to confer amongst yourselves, then by all means.
And certainly,
if
there's going to be uncouth words going to be said amongst my crew members, and I apologize if you overhear them. It would be best if you step aside.
It's quite all right. You have every right here, Captain. And for what it's worth, she looks over to you, Romanov, pondering whether to go informal or not before deciding. Lieutenant Commander, we're not here. We don't mean to be jailers here, and we aim to treat people as humanely as. I'll say that's a translation.
Right.
Yeah. So
I can appreciate your point of view on that, and obviously it's a beautiful prison. but a prison nonetheless. You've made a choice. You chose not to try to make a diplomatic relation with another civilization.
There's a pointed look at you, Romanov. Be careful of your words.
I won't
Kick her under the table.
Yeah.
I won't judge you. I understand where you are coming from now, and I only hope that time will change your mind. At the very least, help you understand. Then she rises from the table with the flute in hand. Excuse me. And she won't step out of the scene entirely. She's going to move further to a pretty much on the opposite end of the balcony relative to where your table is, such that you have privacy amongst yourselves, and but if any of you went over to engage, you could do so separately from the main crew. And
Can I give a free vibe, by the way? Here.
Sure.
There is a certain woman that Sharp is thinking about right now after watching Callus walk away. And she can't hide that. There's no way in hell she can hide that.
Yeah. I won't say it. Well, with her back turned to you, I'm not sure that Callus will. There'll be any discernible.
No, but it's definitely loud.
Yep.
She can't hide that. She'll just take a longer drink of her drink and look over the rest of the crew. All right, at ease, air it out. You got 2 minutes. She looks over at Horn with like a shrug of like,
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Come again?
That's all I've got.
Oh, I've got.
I mean, it's a fair assessment.
It's a fair one.
I think we have stumbled in, how to phrase this politely, kind of giving a look across the room. A very unfortunate diplomatic situation that has been ongoing long before our arrival. Political, not diplomatic, sorry.
We ended up in the Forbidden City, or Tokugawa's Meiji area. She says.
Yeah.
Forbidden City is a good example. That works.
She looks over to the two aliens and continues. There were several cultures that were not as developed as the other empires around our world. And in order to counteract that and prevent contamination and their own concerns of being conquered, they closed off their borders for a few decades until other persuasions or diplomatic outcries came about. We just found ourselves marooned in a similar situation.
Yes. Now all we have to do is speak to the Emperor.
What?
Whoever's in charge, basically. Whoever has the political sway to change any of this.
Enough political sway. It doesn't have to necessarily be the ruler. Or at the very least, make them ambivalent enough. Ambivalent enough for allowing us to leave.
Well, as far as I know, they are ruled by a council of ruling families. So there should be plenty of different political opinions going around.
She looks over at Lambeth. You did secure the project, right?
I mean, yes, mostly. Look, I don't know. Well, I don't know how much they would care about it, but I'll be honest, Captain. I haven't made that much headway trying to figure out exactly how we're going to proceed with that. How much do we want to discuss this right now?
She just waves her hand. As long as you're sure, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
I mean, I'm fairly confident that they're not going to get into the project, and I'm also, frankly, if they're an isolationist bunch, then I don't know how much they would care about what we're trying, what you have me assigned to right now.
Well, given that they're empaths and the like, you might get a little more medical knowledge here while we're here. I might help you in there. Help a few roadblocks you've encountered. She just looks over the rest of the crew. Shira, Romanov, you've been awfully silent despite one of you being a little more vocal, she says, with a more pointed maternal look at Romanov.
Romanov shrugs. I already had my say. Look, the telepathic space witches, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. But I agree with Horn. There's probably a diversity of viewpoints. I also think we need to fight fire with fire. We need to figure out how to send, or at least be having on our minds a similar position. Because I think if anything's going to make them upset, it's whatever the truth of our minds are. If we could somehow focus that, that could be powerful. But those are my only thoughts there. I mean, I'm going to hunger strike on these people.
Let me be very clear to all
Yeah.
of you, and for you as well, Shira, though I am hoping to hear your opinion in a moment, she says, looking at Shira. But these are not our enemies, and we are not going to be antagonistic towards them. This is simply a misunderstanding and a issue of cultural clash than anything else. Is that clear? She scans her crew.
Got it.
Crichton, Xantar.
Fairly understood, Captain. I will merely do what I can to assist the crew in adapting to their environment, if they should wish.
This is not going to be permanent. I hope it's not permanent. But they are not our enemies. Just a misunderstanding. Right?
Either way,
No,
sir,
they're
I
look.
will assist where I can.
Hey, I've seen the neighborhood they live in. They got good reason to be paranoid. But and probably this type of solution has worked for them before. Somebody stumbles in, hey, they've developed and fostered this image of themselves outside of the star system as witches that people don't want to play with. Yeah, they want to maintain that point of view because that's what's kept them safe. So,
Sure. I want your opinion. Speak as frankly as you want.
I think you might have it backward, Romanov.
really?
They choose their tactic because that's the point of view. If you meet someone and after preconception that they're witches and they're attuned to your thoughts and emotions against their will, that's what they are, most people don't react very friendly. So what do? You stay home.
Yeah, I think you have a strong point there.
She raised a hand to silence the rest of the crew and still looking at Shira. Shira, you're my second command. I want your opinion.
Shira's been just leaning up against the balcony thing. Therefore, ever since Hemestra came in, Seething is probably a good description, just in case there are any Veldonnans picking up on emotions right now.
Yep, but you are a professional, so
she'll glance over to the captain. Horn is right. There'll be factions. She closes her eyes. They wanted to turn us away straight away. Something changed their mind. Now, I don't know whether this was whether they instigated a plan to bring us in immediately from that point in, or whether there's a faction that was quite happy to give some aid to people who are actually in need. For we know it's been a plan from almost as soon as we started talking with them for us to bring us in, get us off the ship, and then take us all prisoner. But we'll need to find out if there is a more open faction. People who want isolation are generally scared.
Well,
We're
the
gonna have to show them. We're gonna have to show them why they shouldn't be scared of us, at least.
She nods. I almost said the name of my other GM, not you, Zach. Zach. I know Crichton speaks multiple languages, right?
Stands to reason as a comms officer, yes.
I will speak. What's a language that's further away from here that I know he would know? She will look at Crichton. How's her consenti?
I haven't really, I mean, outside of very sparse records we have from the Tellarites and a bit of information from our initial encounter, I haven't constructed a full-size database on that.
Great, she says, and she speaks in rough Khazinti, which basically translates of find a channel we can talk to that outsiders won't notice. We can use for rest of pride. It's what it says, but basically says rest of crew.
Let's see how Crichton does understanding this. Let's see here.
Not bad.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you do that a little slower?
She says that slower.
Yep. At which point Melnir cuts in. Look, what's the point of, what would be the point of trying to find a special way to communicate when our thoughts and feelings are...
She just who's next to Mjolnir?
Remora and Lambeth.
She'll just say, Lambeth, smack Mjolnir.
I don't think that's appropriate.
She just does Remora do it instead.
Remora, I think
that's like a slap, just like a slap on the shoulder or something. That's what she basically wants.
Back of the head.
Yeah, back of the head.
As is tradition.
Yeah, as tradition.
Full Superman, just like...
Remora he'll be about to do it, but it's like, sir, I think that this, I do think this might run afoul of Starfleet protocols I have been reading up on. The
fact of the matter is, she says quietly, even though it's probably not too much. Fact of the matter is that they're likely going to try to find ways of slowly spreading us out. I want to make sure that over the weeks, months, years, that this crew still has ways of talking and befriending each other, keeping our relationships the way they are. We have a task, and I want to make sure we can do that task. Because I am sure there are going to be many parties on this world or in this empire that are going to do their best to dissuade us. She looks over to Crichton. Work on it. And when you can, pass it along.
I'll do what I can, sir.
GM, I have a quick question. What's the technological capacity of their warp drives in comparison to ours? Because we did initially in those encounters get some decent scans. I saw that stuff.
I think, near as you could assess it, they are probably at least a generation behind. They probably wouldn't go much further than. They probably wouldn't go much faster than Warp 2, maybe if they're pushing it somewhere in the 2.2, 2.3 range. So the Aegis could definitely outrun it under normal circumstances. With the engine damage you had sustained,
Right.
they actually do have a temporary speed edge. They do also have at least slight defensive improvements because they use what appears to be a very primitive sort of energy shielding. It's kind of a step just before
Shields.
Yeah.
But that
Shutter
warp
seal
drive
shields.
development, though, is behind ours. And I'm going to look at Captain Sharp and say
We're not running.
Their warp drive development is behind ours. This may very well be simply capture of technology for analysis. They can reverse engineer our stuff because they've already got their own warp drives.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. It could
Well,
be.
I'll tell you why I think it could be a part of this. Because, as Mr. Horn pointed out, there's obviously these various different groups with agendas. I would wager there's some people with an agenda of, oh, well, we keep these people and we dissect their ship and improve our circumstances.
Potentially. But I imagine it's going to take a while before they go on stripping apart our ship.
They don't even need to take it apart. All they have to do is get into the engineering files.
Well, those are secure, I hope.
Yeah, they're secure. I don't know what the
It'll only take them a while. They'll eventually get their way in. Security measures can be overridden.
Yeah, eventually they'll bust in. I don't know where their encryption technology is at. Have I seen any computers of theirs? I guess I cannot remember any role play where
No, you just got down here. You just touched down. You don't.
Yeah, she goes, I need to see a computer, then I can tell you. I can give you an estimate.
Well, we have time, and for the moment, we do consider them as colleagues and friends. There's a misunderstanding.
To consider a jailer a friend.
Yeah, I was about to say, people, jailer friend. Well, I like that term though, Captain. That's pretty friendly, right? Jailer friend.
I believe
she just gives like a weary shake of her head and a swig of a drink.
That one. She is giving you a smirk with that one.
Captain, I believe he's starting to develop Stockholm syndrome.
Yes, Stockholm syndrome. Jailer friends. Cool. Well, when I figure out what their hacking capacity is, I can tell you how long they can take to get into our files.
Horn, what do you make of the Proxima? Outside of your personal feelings.
He gives you
because you are very loud about that. She says,
I'm raising a Vulcan eyebrow. I'm looking at Horn.
Yeah, because
the Vulcan eyebrow is out.
Yeah. But she just kind of mutters on her breath. I don't need to be a Veldonnan to notice it.
He gives you like an actual quizzical look. It's like, I'm not sure what you mean, but well, she's clearly not part of that particular political faction that wants to keep us here and wants to keep the status quo. Not so sure about Navarre.
Navarre, Hemestra.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, Hemestra is easy. Navarre is kind of like, where do you go hard?
No, that is Hemestra.
Also fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hemestra is not so easy. She was very guarded. So I have no idea where she falls on this.
Do you think you can trust or further befriend Callus?
Certainly doesn't hurt to talk. And despite what Shira says, the jailer is your best friend, if you want it or not.
Well, do your upfront duty then here, while we kind of explore other avenues where we can.
Very well. Picks up a drink and would probably then also saunter over to Proxena.
Yeah. Any other complaints or anything else that we mentioned before?
No, nothing I haven't put in the feedback box in your office.
I'm sure.
She's smiling.
Behave yourselves, and we'll talk in another week. All right? Of progress reports.
Okay. I'm going to do a hunger strike, man.
I need you well and able, so don't go too far. With
fasting is an ancient Vulcan tradition that I was instructed in. And fasting as political statement and resistance is an ancient Vulcan tradition.
Xantar, make sure Romanov isn't stupid. And
Very well, sir.
So just the data, like.
He just pulls out hyperspray. That was a nourishment spray.
Let's leave behind the conversation at the table, unless anyone has anything burning.
No, that was it for me.
Okay, yeah. We'll say that this sort of chatter continues amongst the crew as they try to figure this out. Horn, I think that sigh is a great moment for us to just follow you over to Callus, who is looking out over the balcony as she sips from the flute of the sparkling Utaberry wine.
Penny for your thoughts.
Well, we don't actually, we don't have currency on this planet anymore, per se. The we learned a while back to value talents as opposed to acquisition of wealth, but then I think you have a similar thought. In any case,
Yeah, it's a shame. It makes a lot of idioms like not really apply anymore.
Yes.
And
you will excuse me for being a little facetious. It's just... Things like this really make it difficult for me to do my job.
Yes, well, and I'll be doing my job by being sent to talk to our jailer. And he kind of gives like an apologetic smile. It's like intended as a joke, but it's obviously also like a little jab.
Well, it's a little bit of pain as she looks back to you and returns the glance. No. I really thought this was going to go differently this time. I mean, maybe that's just me and my line of work. Every act of contact that we make is fundamentally an act of optimism. And your ship, your crew, they're certainly not the first ones to have come here and to have left them.
Yeah, I noticed the Klingon gardener.
They were, I will definitely say, an easier judgment. They were intrigued by, they intrigued our contact team, particularly when the captain involved was better able to make an appeal to honor, and which they have a very interesting take on from what I have read. We thought that we might be able to use it to balance out their bellicose nature. Such was not the case, and yes, we wound up not being able to go nearly as far there. Though, surprisingly, they lasted longer than some other visitors we've had. Dandarans, Ryans. We tried with the Tholians, but they were by far the strangest experience.
Ever heard of Tholians yet?
There might, so there's probably a little bit of intelligence on an encounter with them, but they are not terribly prevalent. There have also been others much further from home. Some have been exceptionally difficult to read. I think the one Cardassian vessel, that contact was very strange. They were a ways out from where they came from, but they're extremely difficult to read. Same with the Ferengi, but they were, I'm sorry. I suppose that, well, I don't necessarily know that this would bore you, but I'm sure that it's not first and foremost on your mind.
Well, it's certainly not nice to hear that this seems to be a regular occurrence.
Indeed not.
So
every contact that we've had come to our system it always seems to end the same way.
So would you mind enlighten me about the politics behind all of this? Because there seemed to be a sudden shift in opinion.
You are quite accurate in your assessment. She ponders a moment. Yes, unfortunately, well, she looks at her flute a little bit. You're over here to do a job, I understand, but how are we engaging here? Would you prefer a more formal or casual basis?
Honestly, it's both the same to me.
She smiles a little. Yeah, I suppose that's true in our line of work. Well, Marcus, may I call you Marcus?
Sure. Seems we have a lot of time to get acquainted.
Indeed. I can definitely tell you that there have been some forces on this planet that have kept us relatively bound. We, as you know, we broke the warp barrier some decades ago, and we have had exploratory ships out, but our missions have largely been curtailed as we've gotten to know the neighborhood. We have some very limited trading relationships, but only under the strictest of protocols. Otherwise, we cultivate an image that your Mr. Remora there is most familiar with, from what I've gathered.
The witches.
Yeah. That's one variation of it. For others, just simply knowing that we are isolationist and that no ships ever return. Some believe that we are exceptionally militarily powerful. In any case, it's whatever myths we require to maintain the peace and isolation that certain figures in our government have sought to maintain in order to keep us safe in their judgment.
Seems a bit short-sighted.
Well, I can't say that I would disagree with that. I mean, in particular, I at the very least, would like a little more time to work. Usually, I make it past dessert before we hear something about this, but the decisions seem to be cut exceptionally short. Even though your crew was very well behaved, even if a lot of you do raise some uncomfortable questions.
Oh.
Well, I mean, take the group that you have down here at the banquet. The representatives of your crew. Rogues, warriors, criminals, somebody who has been at once exhibiting exceptional mental control but has also been actively aiming to cause a great degree of discomfort. There's something disturbing that's just shy of her mind. I've tried not to imply too much. But a mix of people who, they're, in the worst of circumstances, have done or know terrible things. And then there's that captain of yours.
Go on.
Well, she's trying to find a way to put this. She's wrong. There's something fundamental about her that is not right. Like, I'd look at her, I get a glance over her from a surface level, and it hurts me to do so.
Okay, player question. Did Marcus ever get a full report on the Soral incident?
So I think that intelligence would have been available if anyone else made note of that. I will ask the players
I don't know it.
Yeah, so let me ask Shira, Romanov, and possibly you two, Sharp, would, like, having been present for that, would any of you have made note of what the figure in the Great Machine said?
Oh yeah,
probably
I would have
would've,
kept
yeah,
notes
in a-
on that. I mean, that was fascinating. That was alien technology. That's what I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all that stuff, you
Yep.
know.
So in that case, Marcus,
Sorrel, he would come up with some pretty crazy solutions.
Yep.
He'd
So
aggravate the
Captain.
captain, but you know.
As the captain, seeing those on other people's reports, yes, she would put it on hers too. But it would be more of like a curiosity of like, why do they say that? I am normal. I am fine.
People say I'm wrong, but they can't be because I'm perfect.
so
We like you because
Okay, it
you're
was more like if this is like a returning sentiment.
followed by medical reports that she would have had Lambeth take of her to make sure she was okay.
Yep.
And proof as such.
There's a lot of tobacco and alcohol use here, but otherwise...
Thankfully, we're in the 22nd century, and I can get rid of all the terrible carcinogenic problems.
But yes, Marcus, the intelligence reports did bear out references to something about the captain being anomalous or otherwise wrong, and that particular phrasing does come to mind as Callus brings it up.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. I just got curious. Well, you're not wrong. It's quite the circus we have here.
Yes, and well, as distracting as all of them are, I still only feel like I'm just beginning to scratch the surface with you, and not exactly. You don't exactly strike me as quite the typical sort either, she says.
I just have a way with words.
Well, I should hope so.
But we have entered the galactic stage not too long ago, and we quickly realized that well, friends get you a long way. And wherever we find a friendly face, we're happy to travel along.
It's a nice sentiment. Sorry about that. Had to clear my throat there. It's a nice sentiment, and I'm sure that some of my fellow officers in the diplomatic corps and probably the... Well, let me put it this way. I don't think our broader worldview, our broader society would disagree with that. We do value differences. We think that there is great strength in that, and we are all in favor of fostering that among those that, among our fellow Veldonnans, frankly, among those that do wind up staying here. I know that I don't mean to soften the news because it is, if you do remain here, then it is we intend to help you live your lives to the fullest that you can here. It won't bind you to particular communities, to isolation. You can be as involved in this society as you wish, at least to a point.
I think Marcus has no choice but to chuckle at that. It's like, yeah, it could be interesting. We're all involved. Anyway, would it be possible to speak to anyone, like, up the totem pole?
I was wondering...
Plead our case, so to speak?
I was wondering when you were going to ask about that. It is most assuredly possible for you to make an appeal.
Well, we got nothing but time, so...
Yes. If you formally wish to make it, I can arrange a meeting with our Council of Ministers, and you can attempt to plead your case as far as why your crew, your ship should be released, why we should change our behavior. They will listen to arguments, but they will have some of their own, and bear in mind, whatever strategy you set up, you have to you have to be able to defend yourselves, because they will not only have the arguments you present, but they will have a good sense of your thoughts as well.
Well... be that as it may. Maybe we could start first with some of the people who are thinking more like you, so we get a better understanding of all the arguments that have been brought before the council, I'm sure countless times, and what the counter arguments are, and all this. Kind of waves his hand, politicking.
Now, if you're...
I'd hate to dance a dance that has been danced 1,000 times before.
Well, I can at least tell you a bit of our side, and what you can expect from what you can expect in the way of those arguments. Largely, it's largely the same arguments every time. It's a question of what makes you different or unique from the hostile powers that have come here many times before. That's what makes you uniquely trustworthy. So the specific questions that come up often center around what would make you unique as far as many species that come to understand what we do, which they learn either through their own insight or through it being slowly revealed and us gauging their reactions. It is a question of knowing what they know about the Veldonnans. What would be the what would be done for if that news were to reach out more broadly? For example, how would they react to that? And usually there is some selfish motive, or perhaps the alternative being that there is some reference that the characters the individuals involved know from their history, where such an ability would be a boon and thus a threat to the Veldonnans if they ever came back in force. Other questions deal with history of conflict and why they explaining why they or how they are uniquely peaceful or justifiable in that regard. Honestly, it hardly makes it back past those first couple queries that most everyone we've encountered falls apart. Some are excessively selfish in their motivations on the surface, others openly belligerent. But even those who have done well have performed closer to what your crew is to this point. They show signs of, even the acknowledgement of strife at home or abroad in their neighborhoods, that's oftentimes enough. I will say, too, they wouldn't take well to intimidation. Many of the more boisterous bunch have tried to justify that they should be released because they would be searched for, and they would be that mighty armadas might threaten the Veldonnans if it came to that. Most of the time, their position is well known enough that we can match most peers to where that intimidation doesn't really sell it to us. In your case, we know enough that you're well off course and far away from anything. I'd say from just a little bit I've gathered on Earth history that it sounds like there may be some busy elements, well, that and from your Andorian friend there.
Well, I suppose lying in your society has little use.
Against them, even for those whose abilities are more empathic, it would be difficult. I will, of course, acknowledge that our abilities, they can immediately read that which is on the surface level. With control, you might be able to conceal something, but you would have to bury that deep. There are much more talented telepathic forces than
I imagine. Well, not to draw the scene out too long, but I think we would just talk more about the politics involved and maybe who to talk to. Just a bit of information gathering.
Yep.
On Marcus's part.
Yeah.
Mild flirting on the side, here and there, sprinkled on it.
Yeah. Callus will, as the evening winds down, and those that can still eat do. She basically says, "Give me a few days in order to make the arrangements and take some time to talk amongst her crew. You can make the appeal then." So, with that, as that evening winds down, Callus, long having since finished her drink, she'll set it aside and she'll look over to the rest of the crew without doing too much here. She won't move over to them to say anything. She'll just say, "Marcus, for what it's worth, I am very sorry about this."
So am I.
Yep, and with that, she will nod, and she will just walk away. Just panning on the garden as it's what we've come to like a couple days afterwards, and you've been having time to discuss strategy, and you have more of these specifics. Essentially, you will get to, Callus has told you at this point, you will get to come before the Council of Ministers. An appeal is possible, so that you can make that argument to present your case toward them. However, there is Well, this, like with everything Callus has told you, you are now in the process of figuring out how you're going to structure what you have to say, who will be present, all that sort of thing. So let's pick up with. We can start with Marcus's speculation as far as to whom should be there, if you'd like, or however you guys want to play this.
I mean, I think the most difficult argument is, and this is probably a private conversation, is that I think, Captain, you should maybe not necessarily participate, if possible.
Has God, what is it called? What are those things that like a water bottle? So not necessarily a water bottle. Like you take them with you. Thermals.
Are you thinking
She's
like a
throwing that at
canteen?
Marcus's head.
Like a canteen. Yeah. Just has like a hiker's canteen, jogger's canteen with her. She just sips. And kind of shakes a little bit. And why is that?
Well, I wasn't sure how to bring it up, but it's also not entirely new. Callus described you as wrong in an uncertain sense. I know this has cropped up in the reports I've been reading. I don't like that there doesn't seem to be any cause for it, yet it seems to be cropping up continuously. So I'm not sure. I mean, it will certainly be reported to them, I assume, but your presence might be more detrimental. Maybe.
If
I'm speculating here, to
captain's
be honest.
excluded from these important meetings determining the fate of the ship and crew, they're going to want to know why.
I certainly think perhaps not necessarily me being the talker unless necessary, but I would have to be there, Marcus.
I was afraid you'd say that. Shira, please stop making good arguments.
I'll try. Next time I feel like making a good argument, I'll just throw someone in that highly decorative and non-iced over pond there.
Yeah, think what Romanov would do. I do that instead.
Yeah.
Just grins at Romanov.
She looks at you and goes, actually, I think that having the captain there, although in the back, I think you have to make the center stage, like you said, you or somebody that they're going to be comfortable with. But having the captain and myself there as unknowns, as people that they have a little trouble seeing, although I open up my doors wherever I go, nobody's decided to walk in. So
Yeah, you're a separate problem.
I know. But here's my point. Having somebody in the room that makes them a little uncomfortable, they might not immediately fall back on their standard arguments because we don't fit the profile. And again, I think there's a great deal of power in saying, and I also think we need to be totally honest. We can't come here saying, oh, Earth and Vulcan and Andoria, and we're all doing great. You should be friends with us. No, they're going to read us and know that that's BS. However, they will know that we are trustable. And if we cut a deal with them, that we will bring them data, release information that we have in our databases about other nearby civilizations, and share anything we discover, and especially threats. How's that not a win-win for them? They're not making a formal declaration. We don't have a lot of tactical data on the star system. We could be released and agree to meet with them to share information in 6 months or whatever. Is that a viable?
We might not be here in 6 months. We don't know
Right.
the
We might be here,
progress
but
of
my
Jupiter.
idea is that we're not here and that we are helping them learn the neighborhood so that they have better threat analysis. That's
I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough confidence or safety for them. Exactly. We could easily just jump the leash.
No, what we need is them to be ready to take up official channels with Earth, at least, because that's where we are from. And ideally, open the diplomatic doors, so to speak.
At least Earth's no threat to Veldonna. I mean, it's too far away for Earth to send a fleet, and Earth's fleet is, well,
Not up to the
not,
job.
yeah.
Let's be honest.
We're too busy trying to play catch up and protect our own borders, much less start expanding.
They need to play catch up, though. That's the thing. In terms of the warp drive game, they're behind all the other kids on the block, right? We know that. Maybe that's a point of appeal that we could help them bring themselves up to a more secure position.
They already have it, though, technically.
Not in their ability to quickly respond. And we know that in crisis, response is everything. And what if they encounter a threat that's outside their star system? And if they had had the speed, they might have been able to intercept it before it entered.
Well, I know where you're getting at, but I think that's a dangerous gamble.
I know. I'm not the diplomat here. I'm just throwing out some ideas from the perspective.
You're missing the point too, Romanov.
Okay.
Is that our opponents aren't thinking in the short term. They're thinking in the long term. They're thinking decades, years from now, if not the next generation afterwards. It isn't so much of getting the technology right now for the concern of something that might prop up right now. It is the curtain has already been working and has continued to work for God knows how long. And now that they have a more capable warp drive in their docks, they can take their time. They have no need of a trade-off if they already have it and they can take their time looking it up. So surely we could probably offer, but it is a very shallow offer at best. Am I wrong, Horn?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Information? I mean, honestly, if they want to, they are incredible at gathering information. Small trading vessels, just interacting casually with whoever's around, they could gather more information than we could get in a whole year.
I do agree that
They're scared of what's out there.
They're scared of what's immediately out there and the possibility of what's further out there. And they think that if they just keep quiet in their corner, that nobody would notice.
And we need to show them why then we go out exploring when it's the same universe for us.
I agree. We should be honest. As Horn said, we're here to make friends.
They're going to ask some awkward questions, though.
Personal
ask them awkward questions.
I agree with Shira. I think they're going to ask us very personal questions. The opponents are definitely the opposing faction is going to try to dig and make us examples as reasons for not exploring further, as they had made cases before. So I want all of us be ready for very uncomfortable questions that would bring emotional reactions.
And also remember, lying is pointless.
Mm-hmm. So for you, Shira, it's going to be about your family and the war, and the Vulcans, and the Tellarites.
Don't have any real problems with the Tellarites.
Well, there's also your prejudice and your outward signs of aggression.
And for you, looks Ronov, is your year you don't want to talk about.
What was that?
And for you, Romanov, is for your year that you don't want to talk about.
Well, they're already scared to come in and look in my mind because I've been very friendly. I'm like, come on in. Let's.
That doesn't mean that they won't try to get a reaction from you, an emotional or otherwise.
Yeah, I know. They've gotten. I'll be good on the diplomatic thing. I will check my sarcasm and I will let Marcus Horn lead the way. And I'm probably not going to say a lot. I'm merely going to comment here beforehand, and I'll let the professional diplomats do their thing.
And can
So
you
I've done all
really...
my sarcasm, ma'am. I've worked that out of my system.
I'm not worried about your sarcasm. I'm worried about you having an emotional breakdown because I start digging too deeply.
I've already had that emotional breakdown on a level you cannot imagine. So they're not going to break me down or change me or send me somewhere bad. I mean, realistically, this is a pretty idyllic prison. That said, I just don't like being a prisoner.
Just brace yourself, all right?
I will.
And for you, she looks over to Horn. She's like kind of mildly pointing each time with the bottle. And for you,
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
she just shakes her head. Just be parent. Just be
Smug?
peaceful.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think one of our best assets here could be Xantar.
Misa?
Yeah.
You voluntarily joined up to a xenobiological medicine exchange and then went to work on a foreign ship to
Yep.
keep people alive and well. I mean, I think that sounds very positive.
I see the logic in your reasoning there, sir.
You went into a mission you specifically joined a ship that is on a mission to the farthest, deepest edges of the galaxy with a relative sign of that we may be coming back.
I mean, in a way, we've done what humans have done since history has been written down. We have gathered people to a cause, and it doesn't matter where these people come from.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Could
That might be a descriptor.
just check in here, Captain. Could you not advertise we're not coming? There's a good chance of us not coming back when around any of the other crew. Morale.
Right.
She's just gonna grin.
She just said she kind of just gives a wry smile and takes a sip of her drink.
Can I venture opinion?
Sure.
I don't think these people know what they've uncorked. Our particular crew is going to be unlike any prisoners that they've ever had. And if we cannot find a way out, they're going to have to deal with that choice.
No, stop that. Yeah. Stop that thought right there.
I'm just saying that
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, and it should not be in your mind, Romanov. He gives you a very disappointed, like not approving maternal look.
You get the teenage gaze back at you.
Yeah.
Even though you're younger than her.
It really shows that some of you have never been properly in prison.
Wait, what?
Exactly.
I don't usually intend to stay very long, normally. Just as when I do.
Oh, but it should be said that they have been extremely friendly, forthcoming, gracious, and well, honestly, this is the best you can expect. It's like it's a cage, sure, but it's a golden cage. If they wanted to keep us really imprisoned and silence us, this is an entire planet. They could separate us by hundreds of miles, everyone. Solitary,
and they would have
done so
immediately, as opposed
constant
to
supervision, house arrest.
Yep, and they would have done so immediately, as opposed to taking their time.
And that is if they intend to be friendly. If they want to be unfriendly, this ends very quickly.
I agree. So none of that thought, Romanov, and that better not be a thought in your head at all.
Look, they have the eddies of my mind are even indecipherable to me, so I doubt they're gonna get much out of that too.
She just gives like another like maternal look of like.
I'm being truthful, like Mr. Horn asked.
Captain is like, I'll smack a bitch.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I can't do anything about how I feel. Yes, you can. Yes, you damn well can.
Damn it, Romanov.
Look, I'll do Vulcan meditations, okay? There you go. They won't want to look in on that. It's so boring.
Xantar, make sure that she takes what?
So it leans in, just whispers, "I do have a mild psychosomatic that could help, sir."
I'll consider it, but for the moment, make sure she does her damn meditations that morning.
I'll do my meditation. I know how. I know meditation, Vulcan meditations.
Shira, Xantar, you're on observation job with her.
I'll do those meditations with you. The most irritating part about the Vulcan meditations is they actually work.
Sadly, but then again, I appreciate many aspects of Andorian culture. Captain, you're overreacting. I won't screw this whole situation up. I may occasionally drip sarcasm, and point out that they are being jailers, but that's because I have this theory that these people really share thoughts, and not just from one person, but to others. I've read about, heard about Xenos that could do such things. What if that is true? Then everything we do may slowly seep out into their society.
So that's a very interesting thought, she says, kind of rubbing her forehead a little bit. Certainly something to consider, but for the moment, let's take the facts of what we know right now as opposed to theories. All right?
Yeah. The key thing is, how do we figure out what is the diplomatic coin to press that's going to get them from, we're just going to keep you here, to, okay, we're going to open some kind of diplomatic relation?
Well,
This isn't.
we just have to hope that the powers that be don't want to keep us here forever until the end of the season. I mean, what?
Well, the powers that be and the producers, they love Beta Z because
all right, no, we're not having. You're talking crazy talk. Enough of that.
That was Brian completely out of character.
Xantar,
I administered the psychosomatic.
No, she did not say it. That was out of character.
Romanov was just raving at this point.
No, she's fine. She's just dripping with sarcasm and doesn't like the Veldonnans. They've not impressed her.
I mean, we're all understandably upset, and they will hold that against us because it serves their purpose. We just have to make arguments truthfully and convincing enough to sway those who are willing, at least, to hear us out. We will not convince anyone who is an Ironheart isolationist.
Zach.
Yes.
Is there any tips Tam has given me about the Beta Z royalty? How to deal with, pompous assholes or otherwise?
I mean, possibly. Some of which I'll have to message
Make a
here.
roll. Yeah, or I can make a roll or something. It's up to you.
So I'll say give me a reason plus command roll.
If you guys don't mind, I'm taking a momentum.
I will call this a difficulty 3 roll to recall.
Reason to command, difficulty 3 dice. Diplomacy. And let's see. I have, because it's cautious, so I have that. Then there we go.
Whee.
Okay.
Nice. So I got 1 momentum back.
So I'll message you with a little bit more, but I'll say that the general inclination anytime anything of the sort came up was don't.
Right.
Fly, you fool.
So, yeah. that being said, as far as you understand it, and from what Callus has told you, the Council of Ministers, while it mirrors the size of the the Betazoid Council of Ministers is a democratically elected assembly. It does bear 21 seats to represent different constituencies, in mirroring of the older council of the 21 great houses that were elevated in the day. That is to say, there are more great houses of very limited membership. That is a small and hereditary thing. This isn't a situation like the Klingons where everybody belongs to a house. There are only a handful of properly considered houses for nobility.
It's still a pseudo oligarchy, but not a democratic pseudo oligarchy.
Yeah, they probably do exert some influence, but your point of contact is going to be with the democratically elected ministers in this situation.
What can we tell from the media of Veldonna?
I would say it is a pretty well. I'll ask for a point of momentum. We'll say the one that you had incoming there on that, and I should also remove a point from that. Such that the media landscape, as you've picked things up, it would suggest a pretty vibrant civil society, and open discussion, talk of free and fair elections, voices of opposition on different issues, primarily focused on the domestic front. Such that it delves into politics, it is matters more immediately at home. There might be, if you actively searched for it as part of the effort to obtain information, there might be a few voices that also say that there should be more active exploration, at the very least, or that are in favor of an exploratory space program. But the kind of unspoken consensus appears to be that the diplomatic status, the relative isolation, is not something to be lightly cast aside. Anything deeper would, I think, that would have required more. It's more than I think the obtained information
Fair enough.
would give.
Are we in the news?
Maybe on some channels there might have been some allusion to the recent introduction of a new crew, but it was a comparatively minor issue. No, I'll reverse course very slightly. I will say instead that it was there, but that the government has made a decision. There's probably some chatter to the effect of on the mainstream, it is, whether you ought to have been turned back in the first place. Some questions as to what contributions you bring to the planet now that the decision has been made that you would stay. General curiosity. There, on some of the points more favorable to going a bit beyond, there might be the suggestion of, these are, if these people are also, depending on what their mission is, they don't know much about who you are properly, so there's a lot of speculation. And, what technology you could bring, what know-how you could bring. It's not like, it doesn't strike you as the, active, oh boy, we caught another fly, what are we going to get from this?
Right.
It's more of a, new people have shown up. Well,
also, are we on page 1, page 3,
page 6,
page 9, page 6? Okay.
So we're a side story.
Yeah.
Great. Cool.
Welcome to an isolationist kingdom, my friend.
Wait, just to ask, if we're on page 6, what's on the front page? What's the most important shit?
That's
something we should probably pay attention to.
Also, why is everybody so scantily clad? Holy crap! No.
Oh, sorry, it's my bathrobe.
God damn it,
You,
Santa!
not you.
There it is.
Well,
No, that's fine. We just bring Xantar in the most scantily clad
I just
thing
touched the
possible,
robe.
and they'll say, "Yeah, just go, just get him out of here,
like-
just go back to the stars."
I'm the whole reason whether we're here in the first place and it's been being like trapped here. Might as well use the actor.
Xantar removes the bathrobe and just has like swim sandals and a Speedo and gets into the pond.
It's also not one of these like proper in quotation marks bathrobes, but the Picard bathrobe von Riser. So just like a satin, just maybe thigh high.
Yeah.
Deep V neck.
If it is closed at all.
It's fully open.
Yes, very much the... I could see Xantar definitely being the let it hang out sort of thing.
Santa is very body positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
As-
it's a very like we're very positive in the Denobling culture. So
As they should be.
You guys are. You guys are.
Earth is working on it slowly.
sorry, I think Denoblian like positivity and optimism will like seep into the human society
Slowly.
Yes.
slowly.
Technological and cultural characteristic be added to ours.
Shh. Can you imagine if the Borg got a hold of some Denoblians? Jesus.
Oh, they probably have.
Yeah.
That's why they're so family friendly.
Denobuborgs?
They don't wear anything anymore over the armor. That's why.
No. It used to be a uniform until the Denoblians came along.
Oh god. Anyway, I think we
Boxes
have.
of
imagine-
brief assimilation. In
Okay, so the plan is we basically flashbang the council with Santa,
Yes.
and then we bamboozle them with big honest truth, and they let us go and cheer us like heroes.
So you're gonna throw Xantar at them first, and then we throw Romanov at them.
Something like that.
All right.
Yeah, but do we have anything more to deliberate, plan, scheme even? Can we scheme more?
Are we able to like contact anyone on the ship to sort of lock it down?
I mean, I would assume everyone is on the planet by now.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a couple of weeks or something.
Mm.
Or-
It's been a couple days, but there
days.
have been contacts with the ship, heavily monitored by the Veldonnans, which you gather they have more of a presence on the Aegis right now. I'll say that Fernir, as the quartermaster, he was still on the ship, coordinating with supplies and working things out. He will confirm a couple of points for you. One, the Veldonnans, despite the order, they are continuing repairs, and they are even allowing a few engineers to remain on the ship to assist with that. So such that the Aegis isn't going to just be scrapped necessarily. It will remain there
Yeah.
and maybe be the subject of a pending discussion. Really, we can invent a plot contrivance to explain that later, but I'm not.
I mean,
I'm not scrapping a ship.
they could easily just add to their fleet. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They just
Um,
never canceled the repair order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There could be a number of things. They could be like they're repairing it to add to their fleet. They could be repairing it so that way they know how the parts work properly, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, learning how to construct a similar higher capacity warp coil would be technologically helpful. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are repairs on the Aegis continue, and at the pacing, it might not be the 4 days that were like guessed at the shortest estimate, but it could still, depending on how long everything takes, Aegis could still be ready to leave the dock if only they would be allowed.
Right.
But they have further They have supplemental docking clamps basically latched onto it, and there are other ships in the area, so combine that with the heavy security, there's not as much doing there. Otherwise, a good bit of non-essential staff have basically been retasked. The Makos were not particularly cooperative, unless the captain supplied an order otherwise.
I would have. Just okay. I would have informed them that more or less it's the long game.
Okay.
So
they would have at least locked down tactical systems and secured the most sensitive files on the computer. But yeah, otherwise,
I'm sure a lot of them would start hiding weapons and whatnot too. But you know what? I'm just gonna let them.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
To stop Makos being Makos.
Yeah.
The bulk of the crew of the Aegis has been evacuated at this point, though. It's a skeleton engineering crew worked in very light rotation with the Veldonnans.
Okay. She would have also told Alonso to stand down because Alonso would frickin' defend that kitchen to his dying breath until some woman came over and told him it's okay. So,
yeah. You know. I will say that at this point, front page in the style and arts section is a new exciting bout of cuisine opening with special guest chef Alonso.
Yep.
I will also.
Is that just a thinly veiled excuse to see him without a top on?
Maybe. In any case, meanwhile, Racco has been pretty much immediately thrown into detention. Something about lewd gestures, public intoxication, threats, actual violence carried out. It's unclear. You get different stories, but yeah.
That takes an effort. That it's freaking Beta Z of all places. For lewd gestures. Wow. Hey Shira. Buddy, you're my second command. Guess what you get to do?
Yep, I'll leave him in jail for a while. Take his place for him.
Yeah, probably. But at some point, you gotta pay for his bond.
So,
with what?
With all of that aside, is there anything else you guys want to do, or would any other information from the ship help you right now?
Don't think so.
No. I would like to mention that for at least Horn and Shira, sort of the bad thing has sort of arrived for this overall. One of the downsides of this thing is that the captain has nothing to do, and a bored captain is a depressed captain, and a depressed captain leads to problems. So usually you'd have, if you want to like more cognizant, you have to grab her in the morning, or really keep her away from drinks in the afternoon. Just not looking great. But she's trying, but it's just hard for her.
Yep, I think
you are a workaholic who's not allowed to work.
Yep.
You've got an alcoholic who's no longer got an excuse not to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When there's a prohibition on workahol, switch to alcohol. So
I will try to distract her in the afternoons.
Yeah. I will say for your part, Romanov, I think that in this case, personal traits would be affecting the both of you, because while the captain is currently dealing with her own shit, or dealing with the slight depressive status. Depending on how far, everyone is letting things be carried through, You also have the fasting or slight starving trait that would apply in your
Oh, that's
case.
right.
So,
Yeah.
Romanov is not necessarily at her sharpest either.
Yay.
I mean, we can
40% for senior staff is not great.
we can get the captain some mandatory activities.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm sure there's lots of stuff
Yeah.
here to do. You're just not allowed to check out.
Well, we can speculate on.
This is the Horn just appears behind Xanta, puts his hand on his shoulder. There are so many culturally interesting things to explore here. The captain mentioned she really needed some excuse to do that.
Just like he takes the spray bottle and just like sprays it behind him. Just. But Xantar will actually try and help the captain here, and basically he'll start like getting everyone's mostly psych evaluations out, like getting those all tied in, see how they're feeling, and then going to the captain each day to sort of talk them through them, and see what the captain. Generally, just try and get the captain to captain, like the manage their people, essentially. Manage personnel.
That can work. That can help out a little bit.
Well,
Won't fix
also
it all,
Xantar,
but it'll help out a little bit.
But also Xantar is like helping the captain by making sure like keep busy, but also like giving other report. Like, basically, I'm just handing you a bunch of paperwork and saying, "Have fun."
Yeah.
Yay, something to do.
They'll ebb it a little bit. They'll help. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Horn would also like look
Also,
in probably
I
more
would probably
to
bring Horn in,
evenings. Come again?
I would also like be doing the rest for the same with the crew, honestly, because I'm just keeping an eye on everyone's like mental state. So including Horn, who seems to be working very hard for a diplomatic solution. So
He's always working hard.
Yeah, it is, and also it isn't like the cabinet's not doing anything. Just it's a lot less than she's used to, and it's having problems. So, I would like a scene with Horn, though, if I can.
Oh, yeah. Do you have anything particular in mind, or?
Kind of.
No, I mean like any. Are we just talking? Are we
just talking? Just talking.
Are we doing anything while talking? Like, are we just sitting somewhere watching the sunset and talking, or are we climbing and talking? Like,
Yeah. This would be morning, so sunrise. I'll go ahead and insert.
Actually, I want it like evening. I want one of his visits.
Okay, this is.
Is as late. Is maybe something came up. Maybe hang out with Callus a little longer. But when you walk in, you just see Sharp just resting, kind of not crumpled, but sort of just like leaning forward, resting her elbows on her knees on the seat in the patio of her apartment.
just like you hear like the door go or whatever, and then like the moment of silence, and if you don't react, like anything particular weighing your head down, or
I shouldn't have done this plan. This was a terrible plan.
what plan?
Just getting out here. There were other avenues we could have explored. All I've been
It comes closer, like permission to speak freely, Captain.
She like raised the finger, brings a not a shot glass, but God, was those small glasses to her
tumbler?
to her lips. Tumbler, yeah. Bring a tumbler and just drinks it. Okay.
He smacks you on the back of the head.
Ow.
Like Gibbs does in NCIS, always like, first rule of command, there are no what ifs. Any decision you could have taken with this ship anywhere could have led to this or worse or better outcomes. It's pointless to speculate about.
We've been chased by... I managed to make this crew chased by pirates. We could have found another way with that. Instead, I decided to jump in the moment that Remora sent a message. Could have talked with my team. Could have negotiated. Could have done a lot more negotiating.
Well, we made it out okay, and if you didn't like how you handled it, then you handle it different next time. I can put a reprimand in your report if you want.
She just gives you a side glance and gestures to the nearby lounge chair.
Sinks in it. What are you really worried about?
I feel like I have a lot of potential, but the only thing I've been doing is being incredibly impulsive. I feel like that's my default lately. And that could be youth, I guess, she says with a small, wry, drunken smile. Or I just...
Do you need to prove yourself?
I mean, everybody has to prove themselves to some extent. For me, yes. Partially. I could go in a lot more detail on that, but I don't want to. That would take a lot more drinks for that to happen, she says. But
Well, quite frankly, I'd prefer it if you drink less.
she just sighs.
Just holds your gaze. If you think that the style you've adopted that served you well in the past is no longer serving you well, then you need to change it. So you know that. If you need it to be said out loud, I'm happy to do that. If you want to be more deliberate on your decision, then involve Shira, for example, in your decisions. She has a tendency to keep all the decision making to herself. Try to dissuade her from, but I'm not exactly sure they took yet. But maybe you can alleviate each other's shortcomings.
You're probably right about that. I just feel like I wish I had more control. But
over what?
My decision making half the time, she says.
What robs you of that control?
Impulse, I suppose. The need to get things done, the need that I feel like I'm the only one who can, even though I know that's wrong.
Ah, yes. The inability of man to sit still in a room. Well, what do you intend to do about it?
She looks back out into the distance. She puts the tumbler down with a clink. Start figuring a way of making friends here like we should. Than to make another enemy and get our crew out of here. With hopefully a benefit. Outside of that, Relying on you guys more, I suppose.
Well, then you know what to do.
Hmm.
I'm always happy to contradict you if you want.
So what's really going on between you and Callus?
I don't know. It's always difficult in meeting someone in a diplomatic setting. There's a lot of professional sweet talking.
I know the difference between sweet talking and sweet talking. This is me you're talking about. She says,
You would be surprised how much the lines can blur. I think there's some. Well, how do you put that?
She raised a drunken hand. Raise a drunken
interest.
Hand. Do you want to?
No. It's nice, but
I think it might be worth it for you if you want from an opinion of a friend. You've been staying.
You've read my file, I presume?
Don't
Which I'm not
to.
entirely sure if I know what's in the file or rather what version you did read.
Don't need to. I'm pretty sure my wife had me glance at her or something, but she shook her head. I don't recall it very much, at least not right now. But you kind of walk with it for people who can really see it. It's in your eyes
Well,
and your shoulders.
some things are hard to let go.
She nods. Doesn't mean.
And at the moment, every connection just reminds me more of what is lost, what I lost.
Don't let it.
Oh, it will pass. I know, but
you're thinking about it. You're thinking about it wrong, Marcus.
Come again?
I have lost a few friends and a few close ones in my time. Brief as it is, she says with another wry chuckle, and it's a little drunken. But what I can say is, don't let it pass. Let it be an honor. Let those relationships further. Consider it she pauses. I have something profound for you in a moment. Just let me clear my head a little bit. She says,
just don't worry. I think I know what you're trying to say. It reminds me of a friend who said something similar to me a long, long time ago. I think he actually got more profound the more he drank, but it's a different story.
It's like a zone, like a peak, and then afterwards becomes nothing but just wash. She says, I'm sort of still trying to climb up there, so. But
I never liked how it clouds my judgment.
It helps me slow down my thinking.
And who knows?
I'm sure
I
there's.
don't.
What? Go ahead.
I'm more concentrated on what we'll do tomorrow or enter appropriate time frame when we have the hearing. And after that, I'll see. But I promise I'll keep an open mind.
Good. You deserve to be happy. I want you to be happy as one friend to another. So allow yourself to be. Even if it's brief.
I consider myself quite happy most of the time. But as you know, it takes time for some wounds to heal.
Yeah.
As is still evident on this huge crater.
And that crater is out of character. How many light years away?
Oh, I would say, like, somewhere of the order of, like, probably between, well, definitely over 20 light years away, but probably a little less than 30.
It's about like 26-ish light years away.
True.
You should at least have your head a little over the edge by this point.
You're not wrong. But I lost a lot during that day. It's an entire life.
Are you sure you don't want any one of these? Because I feel like you need one of these more than I do, she says with a smile.
No, I did when I was younger. But again, I didn't like how it clouds my judgment.
No? Fair enough. Thank you.
Also, I have been told I'm a morose drunk, which is not really the fun thing to be, so... He kind of smiles a bit, it's like, you know... I'm not a singing drunk.
Yeah. Well, neither
Which
am
is
I.
probably lucky for everyone.
I figure you're a good tenor. Thank you, Horn. She gives on a smile.
For what?
A little bit of clarity.
It's clarity I'm always happy to provide.
I think we're good there. Out of character.
Yeah. I'll say that we'll say that the encounter there plays out as the last night of what you have to prepare and to sort of try and be yourselves before you set off back to the capital and to make your case before the Veldonnan Council of Ministers. So we are going to go ahead and leave it off there for today. For those of you...
Do we spend the extra threat for carbines?
If you want to buy escalation, I won't stop you.
What could we bring for escalation? Romanov. Okay, yeah, we can do that.
In any case...
Get those photon torpedo launchers. Don't ask questions.
In any case, this is where we will leave off for the recording. So for those in the archive, we hope you have a good rest of your day. Hope that you had a happy free RPG day. And we will see you next time. If you ever want to join us live, we run these shows on 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. GMT for those that want to join us on twitch.tv/GM The Great Barrier. Hope you have a good rest of your day.